Associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome back to the second hour of Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. Today we are talking quotes that'll change your life. I have one for you, if you're ready. The outcome of any serious research can only be to make two questions grow where there was only one question before. And I think so much of the research isn't really research because they're trying to prove an outcome that they want to happen, where pure research is asking a question.
And let it be what it will be.
And then there should be more questions.
Yes. I like that.
And also because I think you can skew statistics. If you've ever worked with statistics, which I work with them all the time in real estate, you can skew them. Even using the same statistics, you can make them say one thing or another. So if you're trying to say that the market's really robust, you can use statistics that says it's really robust. But if you want to say that it's not robust, you can also find statistics to do that. For example,
you can find your argument. So to me, what I hear is you just let the outcome be what the outcome be. So don't have a
preconceived.
Yes, a preconceived idea, or I was going to say an objection, or just you don't have an idea of how the outcome's going. Being open and being curious. That's what that speaks to me.
Okay, I have another one.
Okay.
Grief can take care of itself, but to get the full value of joy, you must have somebody to divide it with. Mark Twain.
I like that. The more that you dream, the more that you achieve. I like that one. I also wrote down being present is using all of your senses.
Yes.
I think that's what, like Deborah was teaching us, and acting like, actually using all of your senses. And if you can check them all off, what do I smell? What do I hear? What do I see?
From what we get, we can make a living. What we give, we make a life.
Ooh.
Arthur Ashe.
Do not eat, but taste.
I like that one.
Experience. I like that too. I figured I had to put that one in there. I was a foodie.
Only if we understand can we care. Only if we care will we help. Only if we help shall we be saved. Jane Goodall.
See, she interfered.
She interfered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, so the name of that Netflix special is My Octopus Friend. My Octopus Teacher.
Oh, yes. My octopus
And
friend.
what I was saying when we went to the break is, there's all these documentary people that say, like, oh, you can't interfere. There's one section in there you're going to be yelling at your television to help the octopus because you thought they were friends, the documentary guy and her. And you're like, how could you not help her? And that you're just the witness.
Yeah.
And I hate being just the witness. I want to interfere. I'm an
active participant in life.
I would be totally shaking that fish's tail to let her go. But it's a beautiful thing. You will cry. It's a beautiful documentary.
Yes. Well, I always love that one. It's simple, short, and sweet. Where attention goes, energy flows.
Yep.
So what you focus on is what you bring about.
Yeah, so if you're focusing on worry and the negative, you will bring that about. For those to whom much is given, much is required. John F. Kennedy.
That is so good.
Constant kindness can accomplish much. As the sun makes ice melt, kindness causes misunderstanding, mistrust, and hostility to evaporate.
We'll go back to JFK's again.
For those whom much is given, much is required.
Right.
So the more talent you have, the more obligation you have.
Well, so I've got it actually in here. Once you know better, do better. And so I feel like once I've known and once I've now experienced something, I have to move forward. I can't stay the same. So that's what I
Yes.
love about that quote is like, so it's, that's why it's a responsibility. It's your responsibility. We all have that responsibility to grow and to expand.
And to not lie idly with our talents and our gifts and our skills, to share them.
I don't know who said this. Freedom will never be given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed.
Ooh, that one's good.
It is really good.
Say it again.
Freedom will never be given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. I think that was probably Gladiator, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But I like it because we talk about freedom. We talk about being free. And what are the things, so the oppressor, well, obviously I think about Gladiator, I think about slaves and all that stuff, you're being oppressed or you're an oppressed country. No, take it just down to ourselves, because that's really what our life is about, our story. And thinking about what are our oppressors? A bad job, a bad relationship.
Our mind.
Yes, our mind.
Our mind can be a prison.
Yes. Yes, and that's our oppressor. So I thought that one was a good one.
And I also think, I'm trying to think of the name of that slave that wrote that book, that he was a slave. He was enslaved. And it's been translated over the years. But what he says is, in my mind, I'm free. You might have my body.
Right.
But you don't have my mind.
Right.
You don't have my spirit.
Right. You don't have control over their conscious. He
Yes.
has control over his conscious. And so that's why I feel like, our oppressor is ourselves,
Yes.
is our mind.
Mostly. Sometimes people say unkind or thoughtless things. When they do, it is best to be a little hard of hearing. Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Don't absorb it.
Just pretend you didn't hear it.
Yeah. One of my favorite, I always want to be your Peter Pan.
I don't get that one.
Your adventure. Peter Pan was always looking for an adventure.
I thought he was looking for parents.
I don't know.
Did I misunderstand Peter Pan?
Tinkerbell's always trying to rein him in.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen Peter Pan since I was a child, so
I haven't either. I have to go back, but I always thought it was, I always want to be your Peter Pan, because Peter Pan was going to do his life. He was going to go on an adventure.
oh, okay.
He decided to go, fly out of his window and go to
It's-
Neverland.
I'm so sorry. I just whacked my glasses on the speaker. It's so funny. Have you ever seen Arrested Development, the series?
I know of it, but I don't know.
So there's the father who would take their family friend, who was a guy with one arm, prosthetic arm, and he would always try to teach the kids lessons and one of them was, hurry up, there's no milk in the house, everyone get in the car, and then they run over the guy with one arm and his arm falls off and all the kids are screaming. And so later on, when they're recounting that story, he says, whatever, because Dad was always teaching us lessons, remember? And she goes, I thought Dad wanted us off dairy. What you understand from a lesson.
What you take away, like, wow,
Right.
I didn't see that.
I just thought Peter Pan wanted parents. Maybe I've got to rewatch Peter Pan.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have two quotes from the movie All the Light That You Cannot See. I don't know if it's a quote, but somebody said it in there. Don't you want to be alive before you die?
I love that one.
And what does alive mean to you? Like, that's what what does being alive mean to you? Is it watching NASCAR all day Sunday? Or is it watching, is it...
Yeah, and I think it's experiencing. I don't think it's going through life asleep. Like being awake, which means in a lot of ways, I think some of the most alive people are depressed or they embody the whole range of the human experience and emotions, because how could you
Wait,
not...
depressed people?
So, no, I'm not saying that they're depressed all the time, but I think they have periods of depression because I think you have to experience all of the emotions to be fully alive. When someone first dies, there's no way not to be depressed.
But you're dead, so you don't know whether you're depressed or not.
No, but everyone around you.
Oh.
When someone dies in your life, there's no way not to hold grief for that.
Well, yeah, I think there's a moment that you would be
Yeah, like there has to be. Well, maybe not. Maybe for some people there's not.
See, I feel like Chris is like, why do you talk about death all the time? And I'm like, what you going to leave behind? And I'm like, I don't know why it's important to me. I haven't really figured it out, but a lot of things keep circling back. But I'm hyper aware of, like, when I'm gone. Like I am learning to have a sense of peace inside of me, that my kids will know that they are loved, that my people will know that they are loved long after I'm gone. I want to put so much good into them, and so many, like, just stupid, silly moments, or funny or quirky, or just, I want to pour so much light that they won't feel I mean, you won't see me every day, but you will feel me.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of sounds cocky, but
No. I think some people live that way. I think you live that way. I think one of the worst things you could say about somebody when they pass away is that they fully didn't live.
Mm.
Because we have one shot at this, unless you believe in reincarnation.
So, but kind of like that is like what you were saying is like I disagree a little bit, I think, because I'm not sure I understand the point. But because I think there's a difference between living and existing.
Yes. And so I'm saying if you just exist, then this could all go by with you not feeling it or experiencing it. I think if you fully experience something, you have a full range of emotion.
Yes, that's being alive.
I think that's being alive.
And I think being alive is part of being curious and expanding. Don't hold... The older I get, I think it's more ridiculous when you stand on your platform and swear that this is the holy grail truth of, the Democratic Party or, liberals or whatever, like a platform, Tesla owners or, whatever the matter is that we decide to hang our hat on. Like, look how much has changed. Joe Rogan talks about it quite a few times on his podcasts about, oh yeah, I've had to go back. He's talked about his evolution and his growth. And it's like, yeah, I was passionate about this topic, but now that I've been open and learned more, I can't say that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always growing. So it's also learning, don't attach to other people's things or events so,
rigidly.
Right. It's like, we're all traumatized by COVID, but we're going to dwell on it. I mean, we actually know people that still are still like quarantine and be very protective. Like they're not visiting anybody if you are not vaccinated. They still believe in that belief system, and that's fine. That's okay. That's good for you. I'm sorry that you miss out on life. I'm sorry that we miss out on life with you, but I'm not gonna carry it. Like I'm not gonna tell you to be any different.
Right. I do know people who have never been the same. They don't interact with the world the same. And I don't know if that's habit. They got so habitually stuck in being indoors that they almost became introverted, even though they weren't before. But that everything, making plans, all of that stuff, it's just outside of their wheelhouse now, where before it was they were experiencing, having experiences, where now there's some problem with it. And it's almost like a holdover to that time period, I think.
Yeah.
And I joke, too, that there's the part of me, not very often, but every once in a while, I'll have made plans a month out. And then that day comes and I'm not in the mood that day. Like if you had asked me that day to do something. I've got the new one. Do you know what the new one is? Oh, yeah.
Dude, if I worked, I would be using that all the time. I'm sorry. Isn't that still an automatic 2 weeks?
No, it is not.
I know. That's how I'm so out of it.
You're so out of it.
Okay, so I'm going to go negative for a second.
Sure.
Just one of the things that one of the one-liners that I don't like, that gets under my skin, is when somebody said, "You're so lucky." And I don't like when they say it when you actually have the chance to know me, know how I operate. Fortunate, yes. Lucky, no.
And is that because...
I feel like because luck is something that was given to you, or like it just landed on your lap, but being fortunate is, I know what I did to get there. And so I know gosh, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was talking about, I don't think it's cocky or arrogant to call the shot and say, I want this or I want that, or, I wanted those Louboutins.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to wear them because I don't want to get the red bottom scuff, but yet. But I haven't had an occasion to do it. I wanted that Gucci belt, and there were a lot of people who are like, what? Why would you spend that kind of money on that? And I'm like, I don't know. But I know for me, I like it. I want to pull that into my life. I want that in my sphere. I want it in my closet. I want it on my jeans.
Yeah, you want quality.
I do. And I like it. And to me, the little girl in me felt that I wasn't worthy of it, or I would never be in a place that I could have a Gucci belt.
Well,
and most people would be like,
deserve it. You
Right.
didn't deserve it.
So I know the work that I'm willing to do to get the things that I want. So I feel like why wouldn't I be deserving of it? If you put 300% into writing the greatest book report ever, and you get an A+, you deserve that A+. So that Gucci belt is my A+.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just, or people say, you guys are, you're traveling, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're so lucky. I wish I could do that. You actually can.
Yeah, I think when I think of lucky, I think of being born in good health.
Mm.
Being born in this country
Well,
in 1972. I am so glad I wasn't born here. When were they burning witches? What year was that?
1700s?
What year was that? If I was born then in the United
I was
States?
like, that was just right down the road. Wait a minute. I should know this. I think it's the 1700s.
But my point is, I find
Maybe
luck
60.
in circumstances. I'm so glad I wasn't born in the Middle East.
Yes.
I'm so glad I wasn't born on an African plane as a woman who my job is now just to go fetch water
Or like
every
in
day
those,
for
like
my family. I feel
in those
very lucky.
Like, is it China or somewhere in Asia where they break their feet
That's China.
and,
Yep.
fold them down and
then-
bind them and,
yep.
or you have to wear those big earrings.
Yep.
They stretch out your,
Yep.
Your ear
In
lobe.
your neck. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
your earlobes down to your nipples.
So
and-
I read the book, A Good Earth, The Good Earth.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I was young. I was like a 12 or 13-year-old girl when my mother made me read that. And I kept coming into the thing and saying, is this fiction? And she would say, yes, but that is true. Different place. And I'm like, so they marry off their women? And she's like, yep. That you have to realize you are lucky to be born here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always have that. I'm really lucky to have been born in 1972.
Yeah, because you couldn't change that. You can't change that. Like, that happened to you. That happened to you.
Where you
So that's why I say
yeah.
luck feels like,
It's bestowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was just sitting here and
But I
holy
don't
wow,
think-
it
yeah.
just dropped into my lap.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. I think someone else, and I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was a movie or a person, where they said, I was lucky. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to go to work every day. I'm so lucky to put in 10 hours for 40 years. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. And then someone could say, yeah, but you're lucky you're healthy enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or so there's always the piece that what is bestowed and then what is given and what is taken. I love that movie line from what is the one about The Departed, where he says, if I have anything against those people, they think it has to be given to you, and you have to understand you have to take it. And I think no one's going to give you anything. You have to take it.
Yes.
I do.
That goes back to that whole the freedom one.
Yes.
I also, so the other one, in all the light that we cannot see, is open your eyes and see what you can see before they close forever. And I feel like, boy, like all of these little messages keep coming back to being present, being aware, answering the question, who are you? And being willing to explore it. I also wrote down when you just said that, I think gratitude is the gateway to grace. I think when you live in gratitude, I'm so grateful that I have a job. I'm so grateful that I have a family. I am so grateful that I come home to people that love me every day. in thinking, like, operating in that place. I'm so grateful that I have good food. I'm so grateful that I have, the more that you practice these things, I feel like you give so much more grace to the world
Mm-hmm.
when you look at it through that lens.
That's how I found my way back to praying to God, because when I was younger and I prayed, my prayers weren't answered. I prayed for a lot of things that
Right.
were promptly ignored. And it's like, well, that's not actually what that's for.
Please don't let me be pregnant. Please don't let me be pregnant. Come on, every teenage girl did that. There we go.
Okay, but so what I did was, as I started to talk to God again, I would just thank Him. Thank
Yes,
you
yes,
for, and I would
yes.
start saying all those things.
Yes.
And that's how I found my way back to a prayer where I could start becoming close again, where before I felt separated from, just by praying differently and praying in a form of gratitude, being grateful for.
So I read this article a long time ago, and it's changed the way I prayed. And even it was like in a Parenthood magazine, and she was talking about, it's kind of like she was talking about epigenetics before I even knew what epigenetics was about. But
Tell everyone who doesn't know.
well, it's the ability that you can actually change your DNA, that you can actually change your blueprint you can beat family genetics.
So a gene has an expression, so it can either express cancer or not express cancer.
Yes,
for example.
and you can manipulate your genes. We do it all the time without even knowing it. Joe Dispenza talks about it. I don't. Just Jordan Peterson talks about it too a little bit, doesn't he? Or who's the other guy that Joe Dispenza?
Andrew Huberman.
It might be him. I have it in my other book, but now I don't want to get too far off. Oh, so she was talking about how her belief system is she was determined to change her family tree, the health genetics of her family. She did not want to pass these along to her children. So she was always living almost in a sense of denial that, she has, diabetes is rampant in her family, obesity, cancer, like all of these bad, yucky diseases that we don't want. She actually had a picture of her family tree, and on her family tree, it's crystal clear. And she said, because I always say, I'm always grateful. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for giving me a healthy life. Thank you for keeping. So I go down I go through my tribe, and I say, I don't ask for health.
Mm-hmm.
I say, thank you for keeping me healthy. Thank you for keeping me free of cancer. Thank you for keeping me free of diabetes. Thank you for keeping my family healthy. Thank you for keeping them safe. I never ask. I never ask anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like my life has changed because of it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of the things that my mom, and she has 7 sisters, have had a lot of reproductive issues with, endometriosis. She had tumors in her ovaries. She had a lot of different things. My sister got to a certain age, and she's had those, and I have not had any of those. And even from my maternal grandmother's side, I've not had any of those.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah. No, I do think there is something to it.
But it's that confidence. And it even talks about, ask and you shall receive. And it says when you do pray as if and believe that it's already happened. To me, saying thank you that it's already happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
So that kind of confidence that I will not be moved from that.
Yes. Okay, I have a good one for you.
Okay.
When you are good to others, you are good to yourself.
Oh, that is very true.
Benjamin Franklin.
So I have a quote. I don't know who wrote it, but I wrote my name by it.
I will do one of mine next.
But it goes with his. When you love me, it teaches me to love me.
Yes. Very much so.
And I liked that one. I sat in that one.
So I have one. History has a long past, but a short memory.
That is true.
Like it only takes 50 years for a generation to forget what had been embedded in everyone else's soul.
I think in our culture, if you go to different countries, there's
Maybe.
very, well, You wouldn't be going to, like, what other countries are like, hey, the sign of the times, let's go take down all the Civil War monuments. Like, it doesn't matter what they believed. They were great leaders in their own right. Doesn't mean you always have to align with them, but as a country, we don't stand united on our foundation.
Well, we're not proud of our history. We've changed. Even though, and that's because every generation looks back at the previous generation as ignorant.
Right, but like Germany's are still very proud, even though they had Hitler in there.
Right.
We all have our, we're all human.
Right.
We all make mistakes, and we all do bad stuff.
So I have a love one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like bread and remade all the time, made new. Ursula Guin is her Guin. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Here's a funny one. I'm so sorry I bumped into your comfort zone. That's Robynism, 2,322.
I want to stay as close to the edge as I can without going over. Out on the edge, you can see all kinds of things you can't see from the center. Kurt Vonnegut.
I am who I choose to be. Figure out who you are and then do it on purpose. I liked that one.
Yes. I always think of transformation when people talk about transformation and do you want to be transformed, or when places or, I don't know, whatever talks about transformation, I always think I don't want to transform into something new. I want to be more of who I actually was. Like, who was I born to be? Who was I before everyone put expectations on me?
I think that's the process. It's kind of like the butterfly. Going in, caterpillar doesn't know he doesn't know what's going to happen. He just knows that there's a painful struggle. Like, now I'm awake. And I got to get out of this mess.
Yes.
But you become something beautiful. So, our evolution, I think it's just the road to being our most beautiful self.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way I think to say it. Here's one. I wrote this one down. This is way back. Some people look better in the rearview mirror.
Better keep yourself clean and bright. You are the window through which you must see the world.
Ooh, I like that.
George Bernard Shaw. And then I like this one. People from a planet without flowers would think we must be mad with joy the whole time to have such things about us. And that's Iris Murdoch. Because I feel that way.
Yeah.
Every time I see a flower, I just think God laughs in flowers.
Oh, God, I love it. Yes. Don't let adulting ruin who you are. That's what we were talking about earlier, paying the bills and procrastinating. And we're going to do, like, I know I got to go do this adult thing, so I'll go over do this more enjoyable adult thing.
Right, this adult thing that I've been avoiding, I will do now. Okay, this is a proverb. It isn't the mountains ahead of you that wear you out. It's the grain of sand in your shoe.
Say that again.
It isn't the mountains ahead of you that wear you out. It is the grain of sand in your shoe. So it's not the big things. It's like the little things.
It's the worry. It's the thing that you're focused on. Because, like the princess and the pea.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sensitive and if you're focused on the grain of sand in your shoe, you can't see that mountain that you're trying to climb. That's the way I
yeah.
That's why I'm like, I like to sit in it. I like to sit in quotes and like, ooh, what does that really mean?
Drop by drop, the pitcher is filled. Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. Patience is passion tamed.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I salute your elaborate system of denial.
This one, it would be really well to be, and I'm sorry, let me back way up. We probably need to heed this one more often now. And it is by Epictetus, which is the guy who is the slave, who was a slave and said in his mind, he is not a slave, he is free. So nothing great is produced suddenly. We all want these hacks and these things, but it's not the way beautiful things work. Because so much is happening underneath. So when you think of the flower, the beautiful flower that blooms, you think the flower that blooms is the thing. It's not. It's the seed.
Right.
It's the seed and then the seed has to break the ground, and then from the ground it has to produce a plant, and then from
And
the
it
plant
has to
it's a
be
flower.
fertilized from an outside source. So see, it does go back to how critical our environment is. If we're all flowers, you know, you're not going to get you're not going to get a beautiful rosebud in the shade.
And you're also not going to get it in a day.
Right. Right. And, the thorns, there's safety and, there's just so many.
The wound did ever heal, but by degrees. William Shakespeare. Because you're never going to heal, an actual wound. It's got to get a scab, then it grows smaller and smaller, and the scab eventually falls off. All of our wounds can't be healed in a moment, can't be fixed in a moment. They have to, by degrees.
It's like the octopus.
Yes.
You need to go and heal.
Yes.
Yeah. So hurt people. In actually being aware that you need to heal. Healing old wounds. That's what that makes me think about. So it's not really a quote. It's just kind of it's an idea on, we were watching The Stunt Guy. Oh gosh, I forgot. What's his blonde-haired guy? Oh,
What movie?
Oh, he was in The Notebook.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's called Stunt Guy. Anyway.
Okay.
So it comes on, he is a stunt guy for a movie. And he's always doing and he's so popular, and something happens and he stops being the stunt guy, or somebody comes to him, and he is now on this journey to realize, like, he has his own story. And so what he said is, don't get so busy don't get lost being the backup in someone else's movie that you forget that you're making your own. And I loved that. Like, so we make agreements, we make negotiations with our spouses, with our people, of like what our chores and how we're going to show up and all this stuff. And to me, I think it should be unity. It's like, or I think about like one spouse lays down, well, I mean, even thinking staying at home. I chose to lay down a career to be at home. I was the one, like, we both felt that was important. So I'm the one that surrendered to that. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't have to be. If you're looking at just two people, we make agreements, but a lot of times we get so lost pushing and being a cheerleader, or just being in the background of somebody else's life. They're so busy and they've got all this going on. But no, we are actually writing our own story. And what we do with the 24 hours that we've been given, because that's all we're given consciously in a time period. So if we're moving in the 24-hour period, what am I going to do with my time? What does my movie look like?
What does being of service look like as your experience as well? Because to be in the background means nobody sees you.
Yes.
But by definition, being of service,
I would do it all again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I am a service-based person.
And that's part of your story.
Yeah, so I don't mind being it, but and now having I don't regret it at all. But just using it as an example of, there are moments, even taking a back seat, or even being the one that's surrendered, that's still a beautiful thing. That's a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice to move it forward. And it's just as hard as it is that you get up and put your boots on and go out and spend 10 hours outside of the home doing it. I'm trusting you to do a good job. And so what we're doing is we're creating art together, and we're creating our home together. That's how I look at it. So I don't think it's not a less than thing.
Position.
But I think that some people kind of get lost in some people lose their identity through that.
Yes. Yes, because they have to lay down something that was important to them to pick up something else that's important to them. And they had to make a choice. I was listening to a gentleman talk about how when he became a writer, his name, Brandon Stranson. He writes science fiction fantasy novels, and I might be pronouncing his last name wrong. I apologize. But I was watching a podcast with him talking about how he was in 8th grade, and his teacher's like, how come reading, what's going on? Reading isn't working with you. And he's like, I'm not interested in any of these stories. And so she said, okay, here's my bookshelf. take any book you want, read, and then, because he cheated on a book report. So if this woman took an interest in him and said, read any book you want and come and talk to me about it. He said he read a book, I think it was called Dragon something. So it's a book about dragons. An 8th grade boy wants to read a book about dragons. He said, but what it actually made me understand was my mother. So here I am, a 14-year-old boy, and I picked it because there was a dragon and a pretty girl on the cover, 2 things I was interested in. But the story was about a woman and her husband, who her husband was the last dragon slayer, but now they're middle-aged and they have to be called back to slay this dragon. And he said, what I learned was my mother had to lay down. She was a brilliant accountant, and she had to lay that down to be our family members and take care of our family. And he said, so this book made me have empathy for a middle-aged woman as a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, you get a set of new eyes.
Yes. And so when you tell me that story, someone's laying down something that's important to them, but also picking up something that's important to them.
Yes.
And it's sometimes too heavy to carry both things at the same time.
And sometimes we downplay the importance of what we're sacrificing. And I think we all want to be appreciated and seen for.
And if you
our
downplay it
gift.
too much, you get resentful.
Yes.
Because why isn't anyone appreciating me that I'm sacrificing so much? I have one that we will love. A woman is never sexier than when she is comfortable in her own clothes. I would say skin.
I would say skin too.
But she was a designer, Vera
Boy,
Wang.
I think
said
we
that.
have a quote for everything. So I have one about procrastination.
Oh, perfect.
It's a little crude.
I'm ready.
Procrastination is like masturbation. It seems like a good at that time until you realize that you're only screwing yourself.
That's going to be that should be the name of the show.
Procrastination, masturbation. Oh.
One joy scatters 100 griefs. That's a Chinese proverb.
If you're going to be anything, be a wild card.
Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there's nothing lacking, the whole world then belongs to you.
Gratitude. Discipline your disappointments.
Say that again.
Discipline your disappointments.
Ooh.
I like that.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I think the short answer is don't attach. And also give yourself grace. If I'm disappointed in myself. Because usually if I'm disappointed in somewhere else, if I'm disappointed in someone, it usually comes back to it didn't meet a standard of mine, or if I'm disappointed, so what I see in other people, I see in me. And so it's actually just saying, hey, go gentle.
Yeah, well, we have mirror neurons,
Yes.
right? And I think some of the biggest fights are because we are seeing a reflection of ourselves that is either repressed, expressed differently than we would express it. I remember a fight between some family members, and when I asked, it was a child at the time, I said, why do you guys think you fight so much? She said, because we both want to be right. I was like, oh, I guess that's the basic summary of every fight. And here an 8-year-old has got like that down pat.
Yeah.
And it didn't worry her at all that we just both want to be right. So we're never going to agree because we both
Right.
want to be right.
So then why fight?
Right.
You're right and I'm right.
Right. So I think, so what it means to me, the
Discipline your disappointments.
it put them in the proper context.
Yeah.
If you let too much disappointment take over, you won't try.
Right.
If
Keep
you
it
let
in perspective.
Yeah. If you there is a time and a place for them, they do have a purpose. But if they can't take over your whole life either.
It can change it. Yes, so everything has a season. So it's okay to be disappointed in. So it's like allow yourself to feel the feelings and then let them go. So it's okay to be disappointed. Remember the lesson, not the mistake. So don't hold yourself, don't beat yourself over it. We're human, and we're going to have a lot of mistakes. If we are on a journey and we're exploring what works and what doesn't work.
Think how boring life would be if you, to me, the mundane boringness of the sameness
Right.
which would mean you would never fail because you would be never trying anything new.
That's why I would never join a cult, because they would probably make you wear the orange outfits.
Right. The mundane.
I'll have to create my own.
Right. Just that piece of it.
That's true, but it's don't hold on to it. Don't hold on it so long that you pick that up and now it's a part of your armor.
Yeah, put discipline to where it is appropriate,
right.
where it is useful.
Yes.
I like that one.
We just talked about this one. The body can only be in the present. It is our mind that travels to the past or the future. I like that one.
I like that one too.
People who are curious are less furious. We wrote that. Impervious to coercion.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to fight an enemy who has outposts in your head.
What do you mean by that?
So it's by Sally Kempton. It's hard to fight an enemy who has outposts in your head. So if you give your enemy too much brain space,
yes.
You know how they say,
yes.
don't let
yes.
someone live in your head rent free?
Yeah.
It's very much that, I think.
It's kind of like that Mel Robbins quote that she just said, if you're stuck in your head, you're behind enemy lines.
Mm-hmm.
You give your power away. When you sit in anger and you don't want to get over an argument, or you don't want to get over a disagreement, or you're even proving your point, choosing to argue. Think about these, keyboard warriors that have got to, or even goes back to the bumper sticker. You're always sending a message to the world. And what space are you living in?
My favorite bumper sticker I saw this morning, my other ride is your mom. You know how I love your mom.
Oh, yes. Your mama jokes.
Your mama.
Oh, my God. I love that one. That's a good one.
So that's one of my favorite. Just like I love the T-shirt that says, to-do list, your mom, and it's checked off. Why don't we ever use your dad? Why is always the moms and the sisters and the girlfriends? Why is it never the dads and the
I don't know, because
Is that because there'd just be a bunch of women like, he didn't unload the dishwasher, you can have him?
We should start the trend. We should trademark that.
Maybe.
My favorite ride is your dad.
It just seems so much dirtier. The other one seems insulting, and that one just seems dirtier.
I drive a stick shift. I like with some manual transmission.
I wonder, but I just always love the mom thing.
Yes, I do too. It is funny.
Surviving is important, but thriving is elegant.
Redemption comes when you start to heal.
Definitely.
I like that one.
There are two ways of getting home. One of them is to stay there. The other is to walk around the whole world till you come back to the same place you were. C.J. Chesterton.
Mind your business.
I love that one.
One of my favorite, all-time favorites. Leave people better than you found them.
Yes, I love that one. You can't be brave if you've only had wonderful things happen to you. Mary Tyler Moore.
That is true. Well, it goes back, even Walt Disney says that he will never make a movie without sorrow in it, because you'll never know true joy without sorrow.
Yep. Is that why he does that? Is that why he kills Bambi's mom at the beginning of the movie?
I know.
Shoots her face off?
God, I hate that.
So my mother's like, you're not watching Bambi. And I was like, why? And she's like, because one of the animals dies. I'm like, okay. Never saw Bambi. I just know.
Yeah, and then the forest fire, I didn't like that part either. I don't like Dumbo when mom gets separated and like the chains, the whole circus thing. The Fox and the Hound. I hate that.
I like the one where the two dogs kiss over spaghetti.
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and Tramp.
Yes.
I can watch Lady and the Tramp. But there's I like Madagascar.
Yes.
There's the humorous piece to it. There's
but I don't know.
Even though they're separated.
I don't know if that's Disney, but some of the
no, it's not. I think it's Pixar.
So the kids and I, when I say the kids and I, we're in our 20s. It was a yucky day. It's just like late afternoon. You can't go outside. You're just done. And we put on, oh my God, Despicable Me, the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, it's just so cute. Like the graphics on it, it's done amazing. But his mannerisms, his little one-liners, like I love watching some of those animated movies because there's so much humor and there's so many good lessons in there.
I used to love Boss Baby.
Oh my God, yes.
That was really funny.
Yes, that was good.
Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Confucius.
I wrote, one of the hardest things that we will ever do in this life is to learn to love ourselves.
Yes. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace.
I like that.
Do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity.
And of course, we have to do laughter is foreplay.
Yes, that's going to go on our shirt. That's Lisa and Robyn.
Along with procrastination, masturbation.
Yes, that's actually a really good one.
I need my glasses because I was like,
Well, that's why I keep whacking with my glasses against the thing, and I have to keep taking them off to see you because you're blurry if I look at you, but the writing's blurry if I look at it. Water becomes clear through stillness. How can I be still? By flowing with the stream. That's one of those, almost those fortune cookie ones that you really have to.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So water becomes clear through stillness. How can I be still? By flowing with the stream. I guess not resisting life, maybe?
Yeah, well, true. Like, well, flowing, I think it means that you're moving through those emotions. You're moving through those feelings. You're moving through the good and the bad and learning to pick up the things that resonate with you and lay down the things that harm you. And to me, I think that's where we get clarity. But when we first said it, I was thinking about, thinking about water, and it gets more clear when all the air from the faucet, or even if you have like sediment, like lake water or whatever, and it comes up murky, you pull a bucket out of or even the ocean, once the sand has settled down and all the particles have fallen, that water is clear. It's letting go of all the things that weigh us down. I like that.
So when you were talking about anger earlier, I was thinking anger is a useful emotion if it just moves to ignite. It is a spark. It is not meant to be the flame that burns us out.
Yes. Yes.
So when we use anger to motivate, or when anger is useful, I don't think anger doesn't have any purpose. I think it is to move and motivate you.
Yes.
So if you're using it, anger is the spark. It gets you moving. But if you use it to sustain you, you just burn out, I think.
So I'm going to say that. So that reminds me of like one of the quotes. You know, we're talking about procrastination. We've talked about all of these. We've talked about different negative emotions in how useful judgment, fear, how they're yucky words. They're the negative words. But what I think that we're trying to say is there is no good or bad. It's either a tool or a weapon. And are you going to use it as a tool and move on, or are you going to use it as a weapon? Is that going to be your armor that you're going to spend the rest of your life moving through?
Well, a tool builds something and a weapon destroys something.
Right. And a tool is when you know when to use it, when to lay it down and grab another tool. So I like that. I think it explains our way of trying to say, yeah, it's okay. You know.
Well, then it doesn't make anything good or bad.
Right. There's another quote. We were watching like Planet Earth, and at the beginning of each show, it comes up with a quote, and it said, you know, in life, in nature, there is no good or bad. It's just consequences. Even though we see, you know, the monkey, you know, being snagged by the alligator, or the baby elephant getting lost, or the octopus, you know, we see that as trauma, but they don't. That's just life for them.
Right.
And we put an emotion to it.
Right.
So
because we are either identifying as the octopus,
right,
being chased,
right,
or the fish trying to chase it.
Because we can only live our own life through our own experiences, and so and how it makes it resonate with us. So I think that they're all beautiful. It's just consequences. Like, I'm not punishing you. This is just what happens.
Right. Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellence in others belong to us as well.
Oh, that's good. Read that again.
Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellence in others belong to us as well. Silent gratitude isn't very much to anyone.
Because you see it. You know, if you see it, you know, that's what, like, I believe We all want to be loved. And we've talked about being loved is being seen and being heard. Those are two senses about how we receive love. And I think that when you can appreciate in someone else, they see it, you see it, and it's reflected back.
And
I don't think I said that exactly the way I wanted.
I also think if you appreciate something in someone, tell them.
Yes.
If you admire something in someone, tell them.
Yes.
It does no good to be silent about them.
Yes.
And then watch the stars and see yourself running in them, as Marcus Aurelius.
I like Marcus.
We can only be said to be alive in the moments when our hearts are conscious of our treasures. I love this one. I need to hear this one all the time because I could be accused of striving and chasing happiness instead of creating happiness. Like, I understand that I need to create it, not chase it, but I could always use a reminder. So happiness doesn't come as a result of getting something we don't have, but of recognizing and appreciation what we do have.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. Gratitude. I think about, that's why I'm like, I walk through my house every day. It's not perfect. It's under construction right now, but I'm so grateful. I walk outside and I'm like, I'm so grateful that this grass is green, and I'm so grateful for this view. And I know that sounds silly, but like I feel it. I feel it. So each day is like a new eyes, seeing it from a new lens every day. I'm so grateful that this is my haven.
Perspective glasses.
Yes, I like that.
It was only a sunny smile, and little it cost in the giving, but it scattered the night like morning light and made the day worth living. American poem.
What was it?
It was only a sunny smile, and little it cost in the giving, but it scattered the night like morning light and made the day worth living.
See how everything ties back? It's the man at the airport. I'm going to make you smile. Mofo.
The grateful heart sits a continuous feast. Proverbs 15:15. Happiness is a butterfly which, when pursued, is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may alight upon you.
You should read that one again. I like that.
Happiness is a butterfly which, when pursued, is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may alight upon you. I think that's the last one.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Did that go?
Thank you for staying with us on your happiest 2 hours of the week on Thursdays, 10 to noon. We are Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as you can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Someday we will be up on Facebook, but not today.
Maybe.
Until next week, have a wonderful week, guys. Thank you.